Hey, this is Matt once again with the back to the videos of the paid requests, this time from Mark. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It'll be for pretty much any type of video or topic, reaction, commentary, review, re-review, what have you. Feel free to send it. But Mark wanted me to react to Pariah695's video of emulating games is amazing and you should be doing it. It's about a 33-minute video. I won't be showing the video because I don't want to steal the person's video, especially without their permission. And plus, YouTube's copyright I don't really trust. So what I will do is I'll have the link down below in the info box. When you're on your computer, feel free to hit that link and have another tab or window if you want to follow along with me for the reaction. With that said, let's get into it. Thanks once again, Mark. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Nope. Never mind, don't press play yet. Okay, let me do this. 3, 2, 1, pressing. Double check. Play. Now. Playing Spider-Man. Is that for PlayStation or GameCube? Is that... I don't think that's the Spider-Man I played, so I don't know if this is Spider-Man 1 or Spider-Man 3. Oh, this is Spider-Man 1 for PlayStation 2 and stuff. I think so. Premise is talking about how he plays so many games now with emulation. I don't think... I disagree. I don't think emulation is the best way to play all games. It helps. It helps financially. It does help financially. But to me, to have the actual games on console can still be very beneficial because a lot of times emulation can fail as well. Granted, physical copy can, but a lot of times emulation there could be bugs, there could be glitches that are only on emulation, they could freeze. Sometimes the emulation doesn't work 100% or it'll slow down. Just emulation is not this perfect thing either. He says emulating the games is a much better experience. Like I said, I don't know about that. Again, to play it like originally, let's go through his reasons. Why people don't play emulation, the legality of it. Well, I have no issues with that. I have no issues with that, the legality. Yeah, playing a game emulator, especially when these games are not available any other way, shape, or form, to me there shouldn't be an issue to it. And it seems like not really anybody in terms of legality, I don't think anyone's ever been sued for playing a game that's emulation and saying it's pirating or stuff. Now, if you made, let's say, Metal Gear Solid or Resident Evil 2, if you decided to make this and you put it on a disc and you make the artwork and then you're selling it, that'd be a different matter. Even though you can't really buy that, even so. But I mean, let's be honest, a lot of people. Let's be honest, the government has a lot more important stuff to deal with than if people buying a video game that someone reproduced, especially if a game that's 23 years old. As long as you do it in a common sense way where you don't just blatantly get caught in the most obvious way. Yeah, games that you can't do anymore, games that are. Some games are lost for good. Like, I bought a PlayStation 3 that has a bunch of PS2 and PS3 games on it. One of the reasons I bought that PlayStation 3 mod was because it's got Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, which is a game that was only digital. PS3 digital. You Unless you emulate it and can emulate it well, there's no way you can have that game. There's no way you could get that game. Huh. So this game's like Ninja but Bionic Commando. That's interesting. A Bionic Commando Ninja game? Cool. That seems like a fun one. I forget what he said the title was, but that's like a fun game. Again, Bionic Commando, but you're a ninja. Cool. Yeah, the legality, yeah, it's not. What's this one? This Castlevania, but which one is this? Looks like I take on Castlevania Bloodlines, but improved graphics. Super Mario Sunshine. I do agree. Sometimes emulations do fail and do not replicate it 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of good emulators out there. I agree with you, man. But just like everything, it's not perfect. Especially Nintendo 64 game. Nintendo 64 is notoriously bad to emulate. There's so many emulators that you try to do Nintendo 64 and they freeze, they slow down. What was that? Superman 64. There are times where people emulate that and the sky's like a completely different color. Like I do play a lot of games via emulation, so I don't have big issues with that. So I'm fine with emulating games. I am. It's just, yeah. If I had all the money in the world, I'd rather buy them for physical. Yeah, there's a lot of troubleshooting issues. That's true. Well, he goes into, well, there's a lot of issues that could go into you do an emulator and all the issues that are similar to PC gaming. But not everybody's into PC gaming. Not everybody's into that. Some people prefer console. Some people don't know. Not everyone is a computer tech guy. Not everyone is completely studied in the technical jargon and trying to get a program fixed. Do you get a better experience with an old game than you can in the original one? That I don't know about. I don't know about that. That he's almost saying like without a doubt it's going to be a better experience. Easier, yes. Cheaper, yes. I agree with that. That's the reason why a lot of people do it. It's easier and cheaper. Yeah, I definitely know RetroArch. It's one of the things I use on the Raspberry Pi to play like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Sega CD. Has a lot of stuff on there. That's why I'm able to try out like Baby's Kids. But okay, that's some of those games on that emulator thing, the Raspberry Pi. I play Street Fighter. I I play Street Fighter the arcade game. It would slow down, and the music would slow down, and so the music would not work right, which is emulation. Granted, you have so many other options, but sometimes if you do stuff like that, they become broken or slowed down. But if you had the actual CD or, well, I guess that's an arcade game, but like if you had Street Fighter for what Sega CD, it would probably work better. Everything's a crapshoot. I understand that, but I know I'm just going on in circles. Because at the end of the day, I like both. I do. A lot of times I play more emulation because it's just much more affordable. Because thanks to folks out there, I have a PlayStation 3 mod that has pretty much all the PS2 games and a good chunk of PS3 games. I have a GameCube that a guy named James sent me that has a decent amount of GameCube games on there. Not a whole lot of Wii games. It's mainly GameCube. I just really like, other than, oh, and then I have the Raspberry Pi for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Sega CD. You can reskin a game with high resolution. So it's the NES of Mega Man 1. I mean, yeah, it definitely looks much more vibrant than the original NES game. Yeah, it's cool that's possible. I didn't know that you could literally redo the sprites. Like, I know there are, I don't want to say mods would be the way to put it. Like fan versions. But yeah, like just a reskin to make it look more vibrant. It's pretty cool. You could play the game in widescreen. But like, again, it's like anything else. Not all of them are going to work perfectly. And like a lot of PC gaming, like this guy mentioned before, it may not work perfectly like this. It may slow down. It may be stifling. And how I put it. People don't want to mess around with it and deal with all the BS of trying to fix it, and maybe I did a different emulator, or I really rather just get the game, that they love the game, have the game, and hopefully you just pop it in, it works, and not to deal with all the issues you get through emulation. I think both have their merits. So he's bad that Nintendo doesn't have like the game tube of Kirby. It's only black and white, not color. I do understand that. Being mad about that. Because you do it with emulator, you do a color version of the GameCube Kirby. What, Sonic just went through the wall there? I just noticed that Sonic just went through the damn wall. Just like osmosis. Going through the damn wall. Get out of my way, sucker! SpongeBob. Like I said, a lot, but there's always this big thing like with PC versus console. I'm much more of a console guy. Even, but that's the wrong argument to have because emulators I use they're on a system of its own, not from the computer. So again, the PS3 mod or the Raspberry Pi. So you don't necessarily have to have them on a. Oh, Pepsi Man, God. Pepsi Man is such a pain in the ass. It's kind of really fun in an aggravating way. That's another thing I have. The PS1, the mini PS1 that has all the PS1 games, including this game on there. Pepsi Man. But God, this can become a pain in the ass. PS2. Don't know what this game is. It's a beat 'em up game. It's like a 3D beat 'em up game. That's interesting. Donkey Kong. Updated Donkey Kong game. Well, I think that's the thing though. Like this whole concept of the video, a lot of people are doing emulation. I guess I'm just not in the. I'm not in the world of people that get really bad at emulation. I know there's a guy of Silver Wings. He's not big on emulation. He just personally prefers actual hardware. Although I know he's had issues like Alien 3 he played for Genesis and it froze like 2 or 3 times. I think 2 times. There's that Spider-Man Web of Fire, I think. One of those that just kept freezing again and again. So, even the actual hardware is not perfect. Hmm. You play a lot of games online. I mean, I'm not really into online gaming at all, so. I'm just looking at some of the comments. The video's still playing, but looking at some of the comments. You know what's better than emulating games? Emulating games that scalpers overcharge for and telling them that you emulate it. You can't go into a store and steal something they don't sell anymore. Yeah, that's true. There should be no guilt for anyone playing games or pirating games from 23 years ago. So I guess, again, I'm so out of the loop on this. I guess a lot of people got really butthurt and you need to not emulate games. You are a horrible person if you do it. See, I've never heard much of that vitriol But I guess I'm just kind of new to the. Well, I love video games, but I'm new to the whole community and circuit. Like people get that really pissy about it. I didn't. If you prefer, that's one thing. But yeah, customized controls, that's definitely a valuable thing. Especially older games that you're not able to change the controls. And of course, he has save states as well. Yeah, save states could be a lot of fun. I don't know which Sonic game this is. The one that's like more vertical. Why the hell would anyone play Shred Super Slam? What the hell is Shred Super Slam? Never even heard of it. So Super Smash Brothers, but with Shrek characters? The hell? What's that? Family Matters? Where Steve Urkel can beat up Eddie Winslow, and then Reginald Vell Johnson can pull his gun out and shoot him, like end of Die Hard. I like seeing all the different games that the guys showcasing, so I like the editing of the video. I think most people watching this, they're emulating anyway. Like I wonder if there's ever been a person that was so against emulating and then they saw this video and said, you know what, you're right. I'm going to emulate more. I highly doubt it, but if it is, I'd love to read their comment and hear what they say. One of the Metroid games. Not the one I played. Not sure which one that is. Game Boy into Game Boy Color games. Yeah, some games that even never went to the U.S. and it would cost a fortune to get them. Like yeah, trying to remember what the game was called, but oh yeah, when I tried that Beverly Hills Cop PlayStation 2 game, which was a horrible game, but it was kind of funny to try out. That's true. I mean, that's why I never really cared to get things like the mini Nintendo, the mini Super Nintendo stuff because it's only a certain number of games. I mean, remember they did that mini PlayStation one, like the app. Not talking about the mini one I have, but the app, the official mini PlayStation one, and all they did was have the PAL versions. So that's a way. That's a bad version of emulation. The that PS1 mini, PS1 minis, an awful case of emulation. Joy to tea? Hmm. It's weird seeing these, I guess, Dame Deer games. You see, like, certain parts of the environment just, like, cut off. Like, I swear at the end of that level, it's like, he, there's some wall, and it felt like there's a line on the wall that just kept going up. So again, like he's saying, there's wiki pages for these PS2 or Wii games that you look into, and you have to do certain things to make it run as well as possible. But for a lot of people, it's like, no, if I have the console, I'd rather just get the game, pop it in, more than likely as it should, just work, and not to deal with that headache. And sometimes that's why people do prefer console over emulation because of that. And all the little settings and details, not everybody's going to be into that, or not everybody's going to care about that. Some people's like, I just want to play the game. That's it. I don't need to change it that much. But yeah, I mean, emulation is not the devil. If this video was made because someone was trying to spot off like emulation is the devil, I would say they need more. They have a lot more shit to worry about in life than whether you emulate a game or not. Castlevania. So make sure your squares look like your squares and your circles may look like your circles to know whether you run it on 4x3 or not. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I see the waterfall. Oh wow. So the waterfall will look like a laser beam coming down. Aliens from Independence Day will blow you up, but because of the way picture quality would be back to the day, it does look like something you just pass over and easier to see the character. I see that blur in the background, yeah. It's funny he's playing Aladdin because at times he does. His voice kind of reminds me of Gilbert Gottfried. Not that that's a bad thing. Rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried. Yeah, that does look a lot uglier. Hmm. Hmm. Sorry, I'm not saying that. I'm just listening to the guy. Definitely not Castlevania. I'm not sure which one that was. Which Castlevania that was. Is that... Is that Super Castlevania? No, I don't... No, I don't... Didn't seem like it. Hmm. Not everybody's going to know how to start all these things off, but I guess there's many other websites that could get you set up for that. But it's one thing to download it, but then people think they downloaded, then they do this and this, and it'll work perfectly. But then it'll have all these issues. Why is it slowing down? Why did this crash? Blah blah blah. So then you have to look into more and more and more detail as to, well, how do I make this work? Well, how do I fix it? Oh, you gotta go into the computer settings. You gotta go into these settings. You gotta go in these settings. Some people don't want to deal with that. It's just give me the game, put it in, as it should work. But I guess if you don't mind getting into that work, you don't mind getting into that possible frustration, sure, why not go for it? Like I said, I'm not against emulation. A lot of times I do play an emulation. I think that's perfectly fine. I know people get butthurt. I know, like Pat the Indians Punk. I think he's a guy that gets butthurt about it. I like Pat the Indians Punk, but that's one issue I do disagree on with him. It's like, yeah, if it's not hurting anybody, whatever. Who cares? But yeah, again, the way I do emulation is, again, I just use a Raspberry Pi for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. Sega CD, I think it has Atari, Game Gear, a lot of arcade games on it. A lot of games for the arcade, like Simpsons and other stuff. Yeah, the MAME, that's what it uses. So the Raspberry Pi, the Retro Pi, has a lot of those games, the older. I got a mini PS1 that has most of the PS1 games. I have a PS3 that has most of the PS2 and some PS3 games. I have now the GameCube, which has some GameCube games. I actually never really looked into how many it has. Maybe a dozen. Can't remember. And then, I do have some PS4 games and stuff. So. Just whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you more comfortable, go for it. So, hey, with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks once again, Mark. Take care. Bye-bye.